I like it when my distance and time of day is the same. I've gone 8.14 miles and the time of day is 8:14 a.m. Today is September 17th, and so that means a couple days ago, mid-September, was the date that is the rule of thumb for northbound hikers trying to make it to Canada. You should be at the Canadian border by mid-September if you want to have a 98% chance of not getting kicked off by winter weather. And after that, from mid-September to late October, it just depends entirely on the year and your weather luck. You'll of course get bad weather during that time, but whether you will get a season-ending bad storm that dumps a foot of snow could come late September. You might get lucky and it doesn't come until late October. And I, of course, am still 850 miles away from Canada, so I'm just going to hike as far as I can until the winter weather kicks me off. But now I'm starting to meet Sobos, southbounders who are like me. I passed the big Sobo bubble a couple weeks ago, and now the hikers that I do see are, same as me, not trying to get to Mexico on a continuous footpath. They're either going to skip or just see how far they can get. I just had breakfast and bread, and now I'm working on snacks. So I've got pistachios, salty lentils, dehydrated Asian pears, and trolley gummy worms. This is a great little breakfast spot hidden in these trees up high. I think that huge lake in there is Klamath Lake. It's so fun to see pikas again. It's been a while. All right, the trail's gonna come follow right along that thing, and then it'll go up that ridge to Shale Butte, make a right-hand turn at Lucifer Peak, and head around that one, which is Devil's Peak. I forgot I figured this out a while ago. These fluffy curly Q guys are the same as the pink flower fireweed. I'm walking this little ridge. There's to the east. Here's my small ridge, and then way over there is to the west. There's Devil's Peak, and there is the trail. was a nice bear encounter. He was a little startled at first, and then he stopped to see what I was going to do. And I was far enough back, I didn't feel the need to terrify him. So I just gave him his distance, let him go off wherever he wanted. And then once he had enough space, I continued up the trail and let him know where I was so that he could avoid me. That is a sweet spot. The burn down in there, and that's Mount McLaughlin that I was coming around yesterday. This one may have gotten that little bowl in it from water pooling and eroding. Ooh, so many exciting things just came into view. First of all, way back in there is Mount Thielsen, the pointy one. But then these two, it's like Applegate and Garfield. This is the rim of Crater Lake. And then that kind of roundy one is, I think, Lau Rock. And all of those are forming the rim of Crater Lake. I love these ones, the little Dr. Seuss ones. Here you can really see the layers of what I'm going to assume is shale, given that we're close to Shale Butte. Some islands. That's where I came from. There's the trail. And then next to it, that's Shale Butte. Mount McLaughlin. I was on that ridge. And then that little one right there is Luther. And I came through that gap in between. There's Klamath Lake. And where I'm going. And right now I'm walking on the face of the slope of Devil's Peak. It's somewhere up there. Ooh, and perhaps the last look at Shasta, which may not come through. Yeah, I don't even think it can show up. It's right there in the middle. Okay, here's a better look at the rim of Crater Lake. Let's see if I can, okay, it's mostly, yep. Applegate, Garfield, those are on the southernmost part of the rim. Ooh, Hillman, I think, on the west. Where is it? And Lau Rock on the kind of north part. And my route will go through some good forest. I think this side of Maud, and then I'll get into some burn before I get to Crater Lake. Just hit 1,800 miles. What a cool place for that to happen. This is an interesting little patch of grass. I wonder if it used to be a little pond. Once upon a time. Oh, sorry, I'm stressing them out. Oh, there's a million of them. One here. And then over there. I saw some over here. Oh, here's one. There's another one. For lunch I have one of the lotus ramens, and then I'm going to add a little bit of sesame oil. Oh, and my lovely hosts in Ashland gave me some sun-dried tomatoes, or yeah, no, dehydrated cherry tomatoes, and I'm trying to rehydrate them. It looks like a fairy house door with a little porch. And I wonder if somebody painted it to look like one, and then maybe the rains washed it off. I think these are the first huckleberries that I've seen. A little out of season, but I pulled some water from this source. There's no good sources between here and Crater Lake, which is about 19 miles away. So I just got a lot of water. I might have to stop in at a pond somewhere, we'll see. But supposedly the water here was not super great quality and it'll filter out. It actually looks pretty clear. One thing I keep forgetting to talk about is that I've gotten really fast and doing high miles. The last 3 days I've hiked over 30 miles every time, and that's a lot. But I am still holding myself back. I do fewer miles than I could, and I take breaks before I want to take them. So overall, it's still a mode of restraint. And my back is feeling amazing, and my body feels really strong. My body just really likes hiking like this. And yet it is still a lot of miles. So every day, multiple times a day, I do ask myself, are you sure that you want to be hiking this many miles? Are you sure you wouldn't rather spend more time in town, take longer breaks, do more side trails? And so far, every time my answer has been, no, I really like hiking like this. I enjoy nature the most when I'm walking. So for some people, they might see a sunset that's really pretty and they'll say, oh, it's a beautiful sunset, way too pretty to be walking, we should sit and enjoy it. And I'll see the same sunset and I'll say, oh, it's such a pretty sunset, it's way too pretty to be sitting, I have to be walking in it. And both personalities are great, of course. Mine just is very walking centric. And the key for me is that while I do hike fast, I hike at a pace that is comfortable enough for me that I can still easily enjoy and see everything that's around me. Obviously not everything, that's impossible, but a lot of things. And I think there can be a danger in hiking too high miles for some people, that they don't enjoy the trail. But it's not about high mileage generally, which is a totally relative number specific to each person, but more about if you are married to a specific mileage number that you've decided you have to make it, but you're not able to hit that mileage without extreme physical, mental, and emotional suffering. And it can be super frustrating seeing other people hit that mileage really easily while you are just in a total grind, always exhausted. And in that case, you probably don't get to absorb all the things you want to absorb and see the sights that you want to see. But hikers like that usually figure it out. They find a way to choose a hike that brings them joy. And sometimes that means changing a through hike into a section hike, because hiking at through hiking speeds is not necessarily fun for everyone. And it doesn't need to be, because section hikes are great. Anyways, the important thing is knowing where the line is between working really hard and enjoying the sweat of your efforts, or working way too hard that you're totally miserable. I think it's called Pipsissewa. I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation. Also, if you are a little bit of a psycho, you might hike some pretty high miles before you actually end up crossing that line. And I do mean the term psycho very affectionately. Second lunch is this soup from the bulk section. There was a dried soup mix. There was an employee at the food co-op who was so nice, and he seems to really like hikers, and he made sure that he got us a dried soup mix and dehydrated bean flakes because he knows hikers love them. So my plan is to combine the soup with the bean flakes and make a little soupy bean dinner lunch. The ratio is a bit off. Too much soup, too little bean, but still pretty good. I'm just happy that I have a lot of vegetables. The cherry tomatoes ended up soaking really well. They just needed about 6 hours. So many baby trees. Which ones will win? Leaving the live trees and heading into the burn. It's interesting. In Northern California, the burns were mostly filled in with the spiky whitethorn and other big bushes, but here it's mostly grass and new little trees. We might have camped in here last time. I don't know why. It's super dangerous with all of these dead trees that could fall down at any time. But the fire was a lot more recent then and didn't have as many of these new trees, and I remember the ground being just total, almost ash. I'm guessing we were just super tired, had been in the burn for a long time, and just didn't know when it would end at all. This area down here is totally flat, and actually quite a few campsites just everywhere. I made it to my tent site, and I have live trees. Of course, beyond the live trees, I'm still surrounded by very tall dead trees that I have to hope don't fall all the way towards me.